So, Todd and Brooke, thank you so much for joining us on the Team Us podcast. I'm really
Sure,
excited
thank you. Yeah,
to
we are
chat with
too.
you guys. So, I just finished reading your book, which I really enjoyed. And I
Good.
loved the different things you guys had to say about marriage. You
Yeah.
actually wrote, we win when we're willing to put the work into our marriages. You can overcome hard things together. So, for those listening who haven't read your book or don't know your story, could you talk about the struggles you faced early on that almost led you to divorce and share how God worked in your hearts and your marriage?
Yeah. I mean, you want to take that one? I know.
Yeah, I mean, we got married young, which I don't think is a bad thing. I've really enjoyed getting to grow
I
up.
I might be lying, but I think statistically, people who marry young last longer.
Yeah.
Uh, but I may be wrong about that. Don't
Well,
don't.
But it does. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, my parents got married when they were 19, and they've been married
Yeah.
46 years, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We were
Yeah.
20 and 18.
Yeah,
So.
so we got married young, which now, I really enjoy because I feel like we got to grow up together. We got to kind of change together. But it had its own unique challenges in that we were immature. I was young. I was the baby of the family. I would consider myself a little bit spoiled, still am. And, we encountered, I know for me, I encountered kind of getting caught up that I wanted this fairy tale. And I felt like, we all have these fantasies about how marriage is going to be and being young and kind of watching the movies and marriage is not like the movies, you guys, in
No.
case I'm sure if you're married, you've done figured that out. And I think I began to think the grass was greener on the other side. And that kind of threw us into, I mean, what was it, about 2 years? We had a baby pretty quick, 6 months.
Yeah.
We got pregnant 6 months after we were married. So that threw in a lot of pressures there. We were in ministry. And I began to just feel like, oh, we're just better as friends. And and in that meantime, I think Todd was really distracted, with what was going on in his life. And I think a little bit put me on a pedestal, I would say, and maybe put me before even God. I mean, that's some of the stuff that you would say.
Yeah.
And it just kind of rolled into us having a regular fight one day. And then I just laid it out there. I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And from there you can kind of take your perspective on. I know it was really, really rough.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both sort of played roles in that, but just in very, very different ways. Like I think from her side, and I mean, you can certainly stop me if I'm wrong, but yeah, but I think Brooke was a little more. Oh man, I think she was a little more concerned, I guess, with what she was seeing around her and her peers and even family members. Kind of out there living a single young adult life. And when we got married, we were young. We were just barely adults, period. So we never really got that single young adult thing. But from my perspective, I think, I mean, there was a lot of me. I realize even now that I sort of married up, and so I kind of felt, I guess that was part of it. But honestly, I think my role in what happened when our marriage almost ended. Now, I don't want you to get me wrong. We've hit several rough spots through the years, just really rough. But that's the only time anybody ever actually filed for divorce. Like Brooke actually physically went and filed for divorce. But I think my role was just more. I don't know. I guess I was just sort of lukewarm. I wasn't really, and even in our household, I think everybody's household is different. I don't know what's going on in anybody else's living room, at 8:30 on a Tuesday night. But for us, I mean, I never have been like overly superly spiritual. Brooke's really more spiritual than I am as far as like
I'm more practical.
I'm very
We
practical.
always say, like, if we come upon a mountain, like, I'm going to speak to it, I'm going to prophesy to it, and he's going to get a shovel. And
Yeah.
we both would, but we'll get the mountain out the way.
But so having said that, I don't want it to come across as if like I was like just Mr. Superhuman Spirit Man and then I just cooled off. I just really wasn't focused at all on what God might have for us or what we were. And we've, through the years in lots of ways, and not just then, we've sort of paid the price for not really, for looking more toward what other people might want than what God might have had in store.
And ultimately, I learned that, love is a choice. And
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of times in marriage where you have to choose to stay. You have to choose to work it out. You have to choose to love. I think in any relationship, especially with marriage, there's going to come a point in time, people are going to disappoint to us, or we're just going to be disillusioned because maybe we bought into. For me, I know as women, we're romantics, and actually Todd's pretty romantic, but it was just more. I got caught up almost in the fantasy of what I wanted marriage to be, and begin to fantasize I could have that elsewhere instead of working in my own marriage to create that. I bought into the lie the enemy was telling me that, oh, you got married too young, you didn't experience life, there's other people more compatible for you. When you hit rough patches, and I had family members and friends that were all single and living that life, and I believed the lie of the enemy, and ultimately the goal there was not only to take our marriage out, but we had Egan, our oldest.
Yeah, we only had one kid at the time.
We have an 8, so
I think you might can hear him hollering. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But God had planned for that. The enemy wanted to stop that. Wanted to stop our story, and he almost did. I mean, I literally originally come back first out of pressure. But God got a hold of me. And I remember just making a choice. And one night I was having like a ladies meeting, and I had some prayer, and I don't even know what happened, but I remember I walked out, and I'd probably been back 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't.
I don't know about that long, but a while.
Yeah, I was back for a while, but I was really planning on doing what his mother had asked me, which was to stay 6 months. If I would give it 6 months, and then I could leave, and that was my plan. But I remember God got a hold of me in a prayer meeting with some ladies. Some ladies, some older ladies, some wisdom ladies that poured into me. And I remember I left and I told Todd, I said, I don't know if anything's going to be different, but I'm going to try.
Yeah.
And I think that made all the difference. It's a choice. It was a choice I made. I could hold on to what I felt like I wanted. I felt like and my kids, I'm sorry.
They literally have been playing their game for I'm going to go ask them to be quiet.
It's
now,
okay.
Right when we start.
I have kids too. I'm actually in a closet. I was like, just don't yell outside the closet. So, well, I love that you're talking about love is a choice, it's funny because Ted will sometimes say it's my obligation to love you. And that can sound seriously unromantic, but what he's really saying is in those moments when I don't feel like loving you, I have committed to loving you and to being there. And do you think, like we have found when we've gone through really hard times and we make it through the hard time, it helps us the next time we go through a hard time because we're like, okay, if we made it through that, we know this might be uncomfortable and messy, but we can make it through again.
Yeah, we have that conversation all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I remember like in our first really, really bad that go round, we ended up going and sitting down with the pastor. And I remember something he told me, it's always stuck with me, is just take divorce off the table. It's literally, and I'm not speaking to other situations where there's abuse and things like that. I'm not speaking to that, but I'm speaking in specific where there's just those struggles of, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. Or just, and I remember him saying, if your kids do something you don't like, if your kids disappoint you, if your kids hurt you, are you going to not be their parent anymore? Are you going to quit? And it really just resonated with me because that's what a covenant, that's what a commitment is. That's what an obligation is. It's like, even when I don't feel it, even when myself or the other person is not acting the part, that's just off the table. We're not, you're not going to quit being your kid's parent. I'm not going to quit being his wife, and that's it's really helped us over the years that I don't think divorce has ever been back on the table.
No.
And so, but I that was something we just made a choice going forward. It would just
now the table's gotten pretty messy a few times still in other ways. Yeah, I think we might have said meaner things than divorce through the years, but I don't know.
I just agreed that wasn't going to be an option, and that's made all the difference because I think marriages ebb and flow, and so you're going to have seasons where it's ebbing and seasons where it's flowing.
And seasons,
and that's a choice.
Right. Seasons where you might be like, I don't like you very much right now. I love you, but I don't like you very much right now. Yeah. So how long have you guys been married?
24 years this past November.
Okay.
I November 2022 was 24.
That's awesome. Ted and I just celebrated 20.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's really it's like with kids, we tell everybody once you get past 3, it's all the same. Marriage is kind of like if you can get past like that 10-year or 15-year mark, I mean, it is, you're just, I don't know what it is. You're just sort of trucking together, and you might as well just ride it out to the end now, you know?
Yeah.
Like a bunch of kids, and then you're not going to be able to go anywhere.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we have 8 kids. I mean, nobody's going nowhere.
Yeah. We're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So, what would you say to young or even not so young couples who might be thinking about calling it quits? Like, how would you encourage them or challenge them?
Oh man, I would say 100%. We've had this question a few times. My take on it is always, without fail and without question, better on the other side. If you will tough it out, your marriage, your relationship, everything is better on the other side of whatever that thing is that made you want to
If you're look,
quit.
it's not going to get better in your next marriage.
Yeah.
If you don't learn to stick it out, because it's going to get rough and tough. You're gonna have rough waters in any relationship. So if you don't, I mean, I read an article one time, and it was not even a Christian, and they literally said the percentage of people, like it was upwards like 80, almost 90%, wish they would just stuck it out in their first marriage. They wish they would have just stuck it out. And so it really is, it does get better. Like I said, it ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
There's gonna be seasons where you're just connecting or you're just getting each other, and there's gonna be seasons where you're just not. And tough it out, stay.
And ultimately, you look back, man, and you've got this really, like, even with us, it's like we've got this really remarkable story when you look back, but you know, we didn't realize at the time, you know, that we were putting together this, like, you know, tapestry. You know, we just were doing life, and but now looking back over it, you know, and that you sacrifice that, and it doesn't, you know, I don't want to say, you know, I understand that there are different people in different circumstances dealing with different things, and so I certainly don't want a blanket statement anything.
Right.
But I will say in general, like and when I say in general, I just mean people who feel like they've fallen out of love and they just want to do something else. I'm telling you, it's not going to be better with someone else. It's going to be the same, possibly worse, you know, because now you have baggage that you didn't have before, you know, with the exes and all the everything, you know, and yeah.
You don't have to deal with something. You might as well deal with your spouse.
I mean, you're going to do, you know, I think what's that thing we read? You're going to do hard. It's hard to stay married. It's hard to be divorced. It's hard to lose weight. It's hard to be fat. You know, it's kind of, you're going to pick one.
Does it equate back?
No.
Being married is hard. That doesn't mean it's bad. Having kids is hard, but it's not bad.
Right.
And so just because something's hard, that doesn't means it equals
But
bad.
anyway, ultimately,
You know?
my advice would just be, I promise, if you stick it out, it's better on the other side. Sometimes it takes a long time, but it's better on the other side.
Yeah, I love that.
You got to be intentional in marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes say it's like spring cleaning. When you like clean out your garage or your closets, it gets messier before it gets better. And you just have to be okay with the mess and working through it. And then so you can get to the other side.
Yeah. And you also have to realize that you made this mess. We made this mess together, you know, and so it's ours to work through and overcome. So
yeah,
because all that stuff in the garage, it's our stuff. You know,
right? You got to deal with it. Yeah.
Right.
So I like in the book, you kind of talk about how you guys balance each other out. Like I think, Brooke, you wrote like you're the gas and Todd's the brakes. And so how have you found that like your different strengths like make you a stronger team?
I feel like for me, I feel like I've always stretched Todd to maybe do things. He's a play it safe guy. You know, he's a bird in the hand. I'm a 2 in the bush girl. I feel like there's 2 in the bush. So I feel like I've stretched him to do things like I don't know if we ever would have adopted or had as many kids.
Oh man, no, there's so many different things.
I have big faith, crazy faith to do crazy things. I'm, you know, impulsive. I kind of stretch him. But at the same time, he's like my saving grace. Like he keeps us from going off the cliffs. When I do fall flat on my face, he's kind of that safe covering place, and he kind of reels me back in when I get a little too far out there. So it is to me, it is the perfect balance.
Oh yeah, and I mean in the social media age, I think I've saved her several relationships because she's impulsive. She's gonna say something. Brooke's always been like, no matter what it is or what's going on, she's gonna face it down, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna sit face to face. I've always been the one that's like, and I think both of our personalities have helped us out of trouble several times. But I've always been the one that like, we really need to assess whether this is because
It's always like sleep on it.
yeah, I've always if you still feel the same because I'm telling you, I even when I pastored in the church, I would always say, you got to know the difference between having aught against somebody and just being annoyed with somebody. You don't need to run to them just because you're annoyed or aggravated or there's been a disagreement or a dispute because we have lots of evidence in our life that those conversations have made it worse, but now if you really do have a real issue, then sure, and so I've kind of pulled her back from the cliff a few times. Brooke's super impulsive.
But at the same time, especially when you minister together in the church, there's times things have to be addressed,
right?
And it's kind of work because sometimes I'm like, Dad, it's time.
Yeah, Brooke's a lot more like pick up the sword and go to battle.
I used to say with people like in our church, it's like you're so much meaner than not that I mean, but I'm just more.
I used to always wonder they would never come to me. Even our kids, a lot of them, they won't come to me. They'll go to her, and I'm like, she's way more like. I hate to say mean, but she's way meaner than I am as far as that kind of stuff goes. I'm like diplomatic to a fault, but I mean, it's helped us, man. It helped us in leadership roles in the church. I mean, of course, as husband and wife, as parents, it's helped us a lot, because
I think in being pastors and sitting down with a lot of married couples, I have found that God tends, or people are drawn, however you want to word it, to people that are strong where they're weak. Yeah. People that are very similar, 100% similar. And I'm not talking about similar beliefs. I mean, but just similar in their strengths and similar in their weak. They don't tend to get along.
Oh, they don't.
And so God kind of designed it where you would make a good team. So
yeah.
I think it's like diversity.
Oh yeah, we're accidentally. We don't mean to do it. We're accidentally good cop, bad cop with our kids, even and we don't even mean to do it. She gets really mad at me because I'm really very pick them up and love them and tell them it's okay. And she does that. Don't get me wrong, but she's more like, no, they did wrong. Quit coddling them,
Stay with the girls.
Well, that's true. More with the girl. That's true. That's true.
A little more grace with the boys because he's a little tougher on the boys.
Yeah, that's true.
So we tend to play roll into those roles, and it rolls into saying I'm a little more speak to the mountain. He's a little more let's dig, and he is so practical, and I'm so no, crazy big faith. Let's speak to it this way. Well, what's the practical way, but we really do balance each other out.
Oh yeah, 100% we do. I mean, for the most part, it's been abrasive a couple of times, a few times.
He wouldn't even want the boys.
Oh no, y'all, they're getting our dogs fired up and stuff now.
I love it. It's real life, yeah. Kids, pets. It's real life. Yeah, it's funny.
Sad. It's my own fault because I didn't want to go to all the trouble of setting our setup up upstairs in the office. So I just set our little thing up here at the dining room table.
All day doing nothing.
Yeah, today's been kind of a free day for them. They've just been playing their games. We get on this podcast and they start screaming and chasing the dog around, which is not funny.
It's life. It's funny because
I'm just messing with our kids.
You guys are talking about how, one of you will say, Brooke, you'll be more of confronting people. It's funny. I can tell when I go to bed early and Ted stays up because in the morning I'll go on Facebook and I'll see something he posted or some comment he's made. And I'm like, should you have done that? Late at night? Man, yeah. I can tell I went to bed. I think you need to edit that.
Yeah, we've been there a bunch of times.
Todd has signed in my account and took something down before.
I sure have,
today. And
I was trying to help you. I'm trying to help you.
From it. He didn't, so he couldn't see it.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
But then I was like, why am I always the one getting blocked? I'm trying to tell you. I tried to help you.
Yeah, Ted gets blocked too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the two of you guys take an anniversary trip every year. And I love that. Yeah. And I liked the story too in your book where someone said, oh, I bet your kids would enjoy that. And you're like, yeah, we need this time. So talk about why that is important and why you do that.
Oh, but we're actually today, even when we're done with this, because her birthday is tomorrow, and so
happy birthday!
Yeah. So we've got a plan today. I think I mean, I don't want to blanket it too much. In the years that we've been able to, and it's not been every year of our marriage. I just think that
pretty much
close, yeah. I think we've been just really deliberate about and spending time with one another, and like sort of shutting pretty much everything else out, just shut it all out. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we're in contact with the our parents and the kids or wherever they are, but we just shut everything else out, and it's just she and I. And I mean,
and in tough seasons, or even in good seasons, but you really remember why you fell in love with each other, why you
you have a laugh again, and
most of the frustration and fights I have experienced in marriage, the majority of just the day-to-day ones, is the stress of life.
Yeah, there's life.
Doing ministry or whatever your jobs are, kids. We have a lot of them. Just they have their issue. It's just whatever's going on. And so what happens is when you find you kind of remove all that, you have like a week or a weekend or whatever you can do. That you don't have to focus on all that. I'm like, babe, we don't even fight at all. When we go away on our trips, we never fight.
Yeah, she always says, like, I don't understand when she gets upset when we're home. Why we can go away and we don't fight. I'm like, because we're not dealing with all of this stuff when we're out in the woods in a cabin or on a cruise ship or whatever. You don't.
Each other and your relationship, and I just want to put this out there. Everybody can't do that, but you can.
You can do something.
Yeah. Put on a movie. Put your phones away.
There's 100% zero excuse. You can do something.
I will tell you something I love, like outside of that. My favorite thing is when we have to go somewhere, like say you have to go, like, and it's gonna be like an hour drive, or even used to be like 30 minutes. I love to go and like have conversation.
Yeah.
Like I'll ask all the
now Brooke's gonna get it. Brooke's gonna jump in the car if I'm running to pick up a dozen eggs or something. She just wants to jump in the truck and ride, because we have kids here that are plenty old enough to hold the fort down while we run to the grocery store.
I just enjoy, like, so even on trips, the drive to get there, like, that's one of my favorite parts, because we just have a lot of conversation. And I think you can do that. Like, you have to still get to know your spouse. That's how you change together. If you quit asking questions, if you quit conversationing, I don't know if that's a word, conversation, but you know what I mean. But if you quit doing that, because eventually kids grow up and they do move out, and you're still there with your spouse, and you might find you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
If you don't intentionally take some time, however you can do it, whether it's a weekend, a day trip, put the kids in bed. We did that in the season.
Walk up the road. Yeah. I mean, we've done that a bunch of times. Just walk up the road,
Do something where you like share your dreams. And
we almost got struck by lightning on our last hike that we took.
I always ask your questions like, what is your least favorite body part of mine?
Like, no, there's no way I'm going to answer that. Yeah, she finds these questionnaires and things, but that's beside the point.
The mouth is my least favorite part.
Right now, if you'll just shut your mouth, that'd help. Yeah.
I love that this just idea of intentionally growing together, because we're all going to change and our relationship's going to change. And if we're not intentional to change in the same direction, then we're going to drift apart.
Right.
So
100%.
Yeah.
And you will, there's going to be times where you're really very, very close, and then other times where you and it's hard, because we'll even have the conversations, and
we talk about the other day. I was like, okay,
I don't know, I don't feel any different. It's just sometimes life gets in the way.
Yeah. Like, okay, we need to flirt more, and he's like, well, flirt.
I don't even know what flirting even is.
But these are the kind of conversations we have. But we even have a really good conversation out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I asked Ted recently. I was like, okay, what do you wish I would say to you more? And he goes, I wish you'd tell me like cheesy pickup lines more. So I started looking up cheesy pickup lines, and it was just kind of a fun way to laugh about things, and remember in the stress of life.
I'll be telling Brooke, I just wish she would say less things. Don't say anything more.
Like, I think you want to feel desired instead of term. Like, we get lazy in marriage. I think you get lazy. You don't flirt. You take people, you take your spouse for granted. But like this little text during the day to say, I'm thinking about you, or you looked hot today, or whatever. I don't know how your flirting is. Like, I was doing a makeup live, and he got on it and was conversation with me. I'm like, see, you're flirting with me. Like, you're being.
I mean, maybe I was.
Like, when he used to preach, and he would like preach about me from the pulpit, that was flirting.
You didn't like that, though.
Winning argument. So.
Well, this has been awesome. I have so enjoyed talking to you guys and just learning your story, and just hearing about life and how you continue to grow together. So thank you so much for being on the podcast.